our region's business, improving our economy, creating jobs, and strengthening communities. Innovation, collaboration, transformation, and the people making it happen. Join us as we take a closer look at our region's business. Now, here's your host, Bill Flanagan.
Today on our region's business, a wake-up call for employers across our region. For all their complaints about how hard it is to find qualified job candidates, there's more they need to be doing to meet the challenge. Plus, Goodwill prepares to celebrate the power of work and finds a way to give more of its workers a raise. But first, the great immigration debate. Last week, the federal government reopened after a 3-day standoff tied to Democrat demands related to immigration reform. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell agreed to put immigration up for a vote before the next shutdown deadline in just a couple of weeks. Well, given our aging demographics and slow population growth, there's a lot at stake for our region in this ongoing debate. Fred Thieman is the co-chair of All for All and the chair of civic leadership at the Buhl Foundation. Wasi Mohamed is chair of the Welcoming Pittsburgh Steering Committee. And good to have you both here. Welcome.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Fred, I'm going to start with you as a former U.S. attorney, talking about the issue around DACA and how that's being conducted. That's really become the lightning rod in all of this, but it's only part of this whole immigration conversation, is it not?
It is just, it's a very small part. I think there's probably about 43 million foreign-born in the United States.
43 million?
43 million, okay. And about 11 million plus or minus undocumented citizens. DACA and the Dreamers are only about 600 to 800,000 individuals, depending on how you calculate them. And surprisingly, as a former prosecutor, it's pretty apropos that it is not a road to citizenship, nor is it, actually what it is it's a form of prosecutorial immunity or discretion, where the executive department, the president, and the attorney general, under the program, say they will not prosecute or deport a certain group of young people who are in the United States. So in essence, what it does is it gives them a protected status, but not a road to citizenship. And in order to qualify for DACA, when it was first put into effect in 2012, you had to have lived continuously in the United States since 2007. You had to be under the age of 6 when you arrived, and you have to be in school or out of school, or have graduated from high school, be part of the military, and you can't have any form of criminal record. And if you meet all those criteria, then you are in effect given a protected status, which simply means you will not be deported.
And obviously for a limited period of time, unless something changes, because President Trump has withdrawn support for that exemption.
That's correct. So in effect, anybody who qualified for Dreamers, and I think there's been about 790,000 applicants granted DACA status. Today the number is around closer to 700,000, because a number have left the country, others have found a road to citizenship. But it's not a major group of people, and it's been sort of a bargaining chip in these discussions, because both, for the most part, both Republicans and Democrats agree, as does about 86% of the American public, that DACA applicants or Dreamers ought to be given a form of protection or even a road to citizenship. The disagreement is how.
Yeah, and this playing out on the ground here, do you run into this in the course of the Welcoming Pittsburgh effort? Is DACA a real issue for folks in our region?
Yeah, it definitely is a real issue, and it's definitely glossed over because you think it's such a small percentage of people, but it really makes a lot of difference for the families that we work with, for their friends and family, for the group that we have formed, and it's really harmful for the region. You know, like, just to focus a little bit economically, there's a moral, you know, like, morally people are pretty split on it, or whatever you want to believe, but just generally, like you mentioned, there is a gap. You know, like, in the next 10 years, I believe it's 80,000 people we're going to need to add to the region. What we want is an ability for the entire region to be benefited from DACA recipients coming here and getting pathways to citizenship legally and contributing to society, and other immigrants being brought to the region, because that's going to help everybody. Projected losses of DACA leaves was $460 billion, or a little bit more than that, over the last 10 years, and we just are not in a place that we can really afford that.
$460 billion from just the DACA group, and that's just a small subset of the impact, the economic impact immigrants are handing here more broadly. So this is a much bigger issue for the country as well as our region, Fred.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you want to take that, the $460 billion is a projection for DACA over the next 10 years if the dreamers were removed from the country. But the impact locally is pretty significant also. For instance, over the last decade, Allegheny County would have significantly lost population. It's sort of evened out, it's sort of flat. It would have significantly lost population without an immigrant population, and importantly, your and my, all of our house values are estimated to have increased by $1 billion by virtue of immigrants coming into Allegheny County and buying homes.
That's a remarkable statistic. Only about a minute left, Wasi, but I wonder, you know, there's only so much any of us can do about the debate inside the Beltway in Washington, D.C. What can all of us in our region do to encourage more immigrants who are coming to the United States to consider us?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up in misinformation. And if we remember, unfortunately, through the history of this country, xenophobia and racism tends to push our policy in particular directions. It's always been like that, and economic policy can be clouded by these feelings. So I just want everybody to look at their sources, understand what's going on, look at the numbers. You know, as a moral end, you know, Wes, I want this to happen. That's true, I'm biased. But however, straight economically, as a tide that can raise all ships in this area, that's what we have to focus on. This can help all people in Pittsburgh, everybody in the region, in the state of Pennsylvania, and the country, if we commit to this and do it properly. That's why thank you, Mayor Peduto, for this program, and the county executive. What they are doing is finding a way to best integrate these people when they get here, make sure they're happy and the region benefits in a way, and we cannot move in that direction unless we get past that racism and xenophobia.
If people want to plug in and help, I assume you have a website?
Yeah. I mean, you can go to the mayor's website, and Welcoming Pittsburgh is featured on there. If you want to get in touch with us, please use that to contact us. Give a call to the mayor's office and his community relations team, and we'd be happy to do that. Yeah.
All right. Very important to the future.
And can I put a plug in for two others? There are organizations like Vibrant Pittsburgh or Visit Pittsburgh that are trying to make the region more inviting to immigrants and foreign-born. And then All for All is an organization, community-based, that is trying to make this region more welcoming for those who already live here.
All right, Fred Thieman, who is co-chair of All for All, and Wasi Mohamed, the chair of Welcoming Pittsburgh. Thank you both so much. Good luck with the efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up, educators are stepping up to match supply to demand when it comes to the future of our region's workforce. But there's more that employers need to do. We'll find out what when our region's business returns.